what's up everybody? It's Nicole Dice with Avelion Studios here again with another video. This week's video topic will be copy art or art theft versus using reference and how to use reference properly. So I missed posting last week. It's because I just got super busy last week and hectic, but we're going to jump right back into it this week with another video. And I'm going to kind of break this topic down into 3 portions. So the first topic is going to be copy art versus reference and what the actual difference is. And then I'm going to move into how to actually find good reference work for art. And then lastly, I'm going to finish off with how to use the reference work properly and how to make sure you're not copying or stealing anyone's work, okay? So to start off, copy art versus reference. So this is kind of like the difference between using reference for your work and actually stealing someone's artwork. So a lot of artists, when they get caught ripping off other people's work, and I'm not going to put any names out, but it's pretty common in online art communities, they'll kind of just say, oh, I was using it for reference, or we just had a similar idea, and it's kind of obvious that it was traced. So general rule is, if you're tracing someone's artwork, like physically tracing it, that's definitely copying. That is not using it as reference. That is just a direct rip off of their artwork. The second thing is if you're doing a really similar concept, so you're drawing freehand but you're pretty much drawing the same image, this is kind of copy art as well. Now if you're just doing this in your sketchbook as practice, then no one gets hurt, it's okay, but there's people who will try to pass it off as their own artwork, and that's not cool. So if you're tracing or you're directly copying the idea, that's art theft. Or if you're using an idea that's a little maybe too similar to another artist, that kind of gets into a gray area. And I mean, why would you want to do someone else's style of artwork? You should just focus on your own artwork, your own ideas, and being authentic, and that will come across better and more people will be drawn to that versus someone who's acting fake online. Now, reference on the other hand, I think all great artists use reference, and the reference is basically used for a few reasons. I use reference to help me with anatomy. Reference can also be used to help with perspective, can help with color layouts, can help if you're trying to achieve a certain style, but you're not copying that photo completely. When I do a drawing, I could use tons of references just for one image. I'm using one photograph because I like the way this girl's hair is falling. I'm using another photograph because I like her nose. I'm using another photograph for the pose, another photograph for the lighting. So I am using a lot of different references when I'm drawing to make one image and to make it more realistic and believable. And that's the difference. So if you're using references to improve your artwork, then that's different than stealing. And I think another point is, when I'm drawing, I don't usually use other artists' work as reference. I'll use photography as a reference. I try not to copy other illustrators' work when I'm drawing. I don't want to accidentally copy their style or their ideas. So I'm trying to use more images. So that's the difference between copy art versus reference. If you like my videos, go ahead and hit subscribe now. I make new videos every Friday. So make sure to hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss when I upload. Now moving on to the second topic, so finding good reference. So once you understand the difference between copying art and reference, then it's a matter of how to find reference. So if you have a camera, you could always take your own reference photos and you don't have to worry about people claiming that you've stolen anything because everything is yours, and that's probably the best way to go about things, but not everyone has a camera and a studio and models at their disposal. So there's some good resources online for us so we can find reference. Now the first thing I recommend every artist to do is to purchase a gestures book, anatomy book as well, so you can get more acquainted with the human form, and you can actually use those sketches or those diagrams as reference when you're drawing the body, and it will help you understand better. Now if you're not able to do that, secondary references that I think are great, there's a website called Pexels, I'll link that down in the description, and they offer royalty-free images that you can use for reference and for basic Photoshop work without having to purchase the image. Sometimes you do have to credit the artist. You have to read the description on each photograph and see what the requirements are, but that's a good website for high-quality reference images. Other websites include Pinterest, Instagram, Google Images, but again, you want to make sure that if you're using the reference very closely, that you are crediting the original photographer or artist, and that you're being honest about the fact that you've used references when asked. And that's a good way to keep yourself out of trouble. Another thing is you want to make sure you're not copying anyone's concepts. Pick very basic photos that you're just liking elements of it, and make sure that you're creating all your own concepts and ideas yourself so that you're not accidentally stealing anyone's art. I use Pexels a lot, actually. I love Pexels. That's a great website. Like, there's amazing photographers on there, and you can find all sorts of images there for your work, and different poses and different flowers, and just a great website to use, especially if you want to do realism and you want to be doing photorealism. That's another good website because it's royalty free and you can give credit to the photographer, and then two of you can hopefully gain some attention together. So that's a great way to start. Now, third, how do you know you're not copying, and how do you use the references correctly? So if you're only using it for poses, for hair, for movements, then you're using it correctly. And if you're using multiple references for one illustration, then you're using it correctly because you're taking little bits and pieces of other things and using it as visual reference. Now, if you're physically tracing it, or you're copying the concept and idea, that is copying. So if you're relying too heavily on one image and you're basically recreating it in your own style, that's pretty much intellectual theft unless the artist asks that you can do that. So if you are doing a study and you're trying to study other people's artwork or trying to photo replicate, you always want to be really honest about where you got it from, and always just make sure to credit back to the original artist, and maybe check in to see if the original artist even wants their stuff to be replicated or reproduced in any way. Some artists specify that they don't want their work being used for references, that they don't want it to be reproduced or modified. So just respect other people's work, and if they don't want you to use their reference, there's tons of other images you can use or photos that you can take yourself, and you don't have to be using other people's work for reference. And I think especially with copyright laws getting more and more tight, this is such an important part of the community, and everyone likes to undercut artists. Everyone wants free artwork. Everyone wants to kind of get something from artists. So as a community, we should stick together and make sure we're crediting each other and supporting each other, and not trying to rip each other's artwork off, and being appreciative and giving credit where credit's due. Again, if you like my videos, please go ahead and subscribe. I make new content every single Friday, and this really lets me know that people are engaging with my content, that they enjoy it, and that I should continue to make it. For everyone who's supported me so far, I've been so thankful. It's been such a blast making videos every week. It's kind of like my new hobby or passion, I guess. I really love it. And if you guys want to see more of my work, I am on Instagram. You can find me at Avelion Studios. I'm going to link that in the description as well. And you can kind of check out more work there. Come hang out with me for a little bit. I do try to respond to all comments and engage with other users. So go ahead and let's connect on there. For those of you who couldn't tell yet, I'm drawing my favorite character of all times today, Sailor Moon. I do a lot of artwork on her, and if you're interested in seeing more, you can go ahead and check out my Instagram. If there are any other topics of art or questions that you have, please let me know in the comments. And if there's anything you're interested in, if there's any new mediums you want me to try, any new supplies you want me to do a review on, just go ahead and leave me a comment, and I'd be happy to try out those new topics and explain any questions that you guys might have. Thanks again for watching.